So last week we worked on some basics as far as guard passing. So this week we're going to continue on that strand as far as, hey, how do we break guard? When we do break guard, where are we going? Right? That's always the goal here. So boom, I'm here with Mr. Steers. I don't care how we go to our guard break, right? My most basic one, hand to the belly button, hand to the hip, wide base, break the guard, right? So when I'm here, all I'm going to look to do is the knee that's in front is I'm then going to put that foot flat on the floor as tight to him as I can, here. Once we get there, I'm going to posture up and connect my hands to the inside of his knees. Because the second I break his guard here, guys, a lot of people are going to start to go, hey, I don't appreciate what's happening here. So boom, we're going to go knee up, posture, get that connection on the knees here, right? Now, once we're here, we're going to have really two path options. One is going to be on the ground, one is going to be on our feet. I'm going to show you the option on your feet first, because I want you guys to have that option, because you can do both from your feet, but I'll show you the ground one here in a minute. So once we're here, all we're going to look to do is I'm going to look to push his knees forward, because I have to disengage his feet off my hips. Because if Austin's here, he's going to be pushing on my hips, he's going to be doing stuff. Boom, I have to disengage that and come up to my feet here. Now, when I come up to my feet, I'm not trying to lord over the top of him here. It's a great way to get swept. I'm trying to keep a good wide base, almost like I'm in a wrestling stance. For those of you who've been doing wrestling, Tuesday, 5:15 or 5:30 to 6:15. Shameless plug, right? So we're here. All we're going to look to do is shuffle side to side here. Now, when I start shuffling side to side, I'm going to shuffle one way and try to shift his legs to the other. So as I'm here, I shuffle this way. I'm trying to push his legs to that side. Because Austin's going to be moving and trying to follow me and doing stuff, right? So I'm trying to shuffle past. Because as soon as I feel my legs get past him, all I'm going to do is step my inside leg right next to his belt line. I'm going to push his legs past, keeping control of this knee until I'm all the way, knee on belly, hand to shoulder here. It's going to give us a nice little guard pass as well as knee on belly. So I'm here, I get my grips, I break the guard, Austin starts to move, right? Boom, I don't like that. I get my knee up, get my hands to the inside of the knees. Once we're here, I push up, come here. I start shuffling, moving. As soon as I feel like I can get past here, step my foot in, knee on belly, posting my foot out. Now Austin's going to post his knees on the mat so I can lean back and talk you guys through knee on belly without crushing his soul. A couple things with knee on belly. One, your foot should already be in position because you should be stepping it tight. Two, where your knee is pointed is determining how much control versus how much pressure you're putting. My knee's more towards his hips, so this way. It's more about control, right? If I'm pointing my knee more towards, 12 o'clock noon, towards his head, it's more about pain. Pain compliance. I'm going to push my knee down because it's going to hurt him. I always have it kind of at that 45. I like to have a bit of control, but I also like a little bit of pain. Need new enemies in life sometimes. Great. So once you get here, hand placement. Hand on the shoulder, hand on the hip. As far as where I want your foot, it does not need to be way stretched out like this. Post it in the mat so you have a good stable base here. Questions on that?
When you come up knee on belly, are you putting your foot in his hip pocket? Like, are you keeping the heel as tight to him?
Yes, I want that hip as tight to him as I can. Here's why. Especially for you guys who are going to be playing the upper levels of no-gi, right? ADCC Trials is this year. I know at least a couple of us are trying to go to that in October, I believe is East Coast, right? Realize that the second my heel isn't tight to his foot, all he has to do is scoop and we're in the game, right? Feet galore. So I'm tucking that as tight to his hip as I can. I'm actually curling my foot like behind his hip pocket. Right? Where like a gun would go. Because that's where I keep that foot tight. It also keeps me good connection. Because as Austin goes to move and shift and do stuff, I have better control here if I have that hip connected. As opposed to here, it's very easy to push my foot off because you're not driving your shin across his belly. Does that make sense? And for point systems, your knee has to be across the center line. So realize, let's say we're here at some tournament, right? My hip's like this, where I'm just barely at the center line or just before it. That doesn't score. You have to have it across the center, other foot up to score. So it's also for scoring purposes. You want to drive that knee across, so that way it's very obvious that you should be scoring.
If you're going for that for other points, control, or just forming or whatever reason, what kind of what grips do you like once you get to that knee on belly? Like what do you?
I'm still floating my hands. So my
My
grips are not, I don't set heavy grips in knee on belly. So the only difference for no-gi, for those of you who are uncivilized and didn't put on pajamas today, hand on the belly button, cupping that hip, right? Boom, I'm here. And the only real difference is when I posture up, I'm gripping the front of your shin bones here. Keeping that control here. Boom. Boom, I'm moving, right? Bop, here, and here. Even in a gi, I'm just capping your shoulder and your hip bone here. Because I like to have that control. And if I really establish gi grips, it just slows you down if you want to transfer. So like if I'm here, like I'm just floating my hands here, because I may need them to do other things.
Do you address a certain thing if they do start reaching for that heel, or are you just staying active so they
So if he starts to really reach for that heel, biggest thing I'm going to look to do here is start. Knock it off!
Didn't like that.
Paper cutter. Because here's the thing. You start, if I'm in good, let's assume I'm in good knee on belly position, right? I'm moving here, I'm doing things. He starts to reach for that heel. There is always a good option. The other is, in case you really need enemies, he goes to scoop that. Stop.
Okay, quit.
Yeah, don't touch my ankles. You can switch to that knee to face and let them, politely suggest that they don't do that again.
Yeah, totally play.
So those are always going to be options. You obviously want to be careful in that transition, only because if I'm here and I go whap, that will be a strike. But
And no, you kind of see what your hand positions were before you break again, before you break his guard.
same things. Here and here. The only difference is I'm not grabbing their clothes.
Bottom hips.
Yep. So I'm here. I will go like center palm to your belly button. Control that hip bone here, because then it still gives me that leverage to be here.
And you're keeping the elbow that's on the hip kind of close to the thigh.
Yeah, I'm trying to use that as a lever on the thigh to break that guard. Here and then up.
When you did that reaction, you put your knee in his throat, and then if he reacts to that, which you will, then you go back to knee on belly, is that established position where it's point another set?
No, it should not be another set of points at good tournaments. So like the reason you get second set of points in knee on belly is if you transfer side to side. So let's say I'm here. If I go here, I'm technically on the same side still. So the only time, and that's tournament by tournament, but the only time you would really get secondary points per side for knee on belly is if you transfer points. 2 extra points, which is always nice. Sometimes not worth the risk, but depends on, sometimes guys will just kind of ball up and be super defensive. And so you'll hit that transfer and then go to mount. So instead of having a 6-point swing, it's an 8-point swing. Nice. Other questions? All right, one more time through. I'm here. I set my grips. Whether it's gi or no gi, here. I break, knee up, here, controlling those knees, step up, shifting over, trying to pass through. Once you get to knee on belly, just stabilize here.
Hypothetically, you're not worried about their wrestling, and you do the switch sides, and you get 6 points on it or whatever. If you stand up of your own volition, do they get any points?
No. So like if I cut him loose,
You just stand up from knee on belly.
yeah, you'll get warned 1. Disengagement. So certain reps will hit you. So if we're in a position here and I'm engaging you, I can take 1 step back. But realize if I pass again, you're not scoring. So like let's say I'm here, right? And I go, bop, bop, and I'm just like, Here. And I go to pass again, most refs won't give you points again because you disengage. Now, if I sit back down, we go back to full guard, and then I pass again, yeah, you'll score. But realize most refs will probably warn you there for disengagement.
So if I like push you away and then you push,
Then, yeah, it's re-engagement at that point. But if I just stand up, I can't force, in jiu-jitsu, I can't force you to stand back up and re-wrestle with me. Now, a lot of guys are going to, hey, you let me stand up, great, I'll stand up and wrestle with you again. But, well, my match up north, I was like, nah, you can, you're too hard to take down, get back down. I didn't have to stand up, he had to engage with me. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, yes, not what I'd recommend. If I'm in dominant position, continue being in dominant position until they stop pushing me. Other questions on this? Grab a friend, drill her out. 1, 2, wait! Boom, I'm here. I get my grips, I get the guard broken, right? Boom, I go knee up. Once I get here, one thing Matt pointed out, I didn't emphasize this enough. When I get these gi grips and I come up, I'm not leaving my knuckles down here to where you're flying your elbows out. Turn your hands in. I didn't point that out and I apologize. Make sure you're turning those knuckles forward. One, it gives you better control when you're driving here, but it also allows you to use those elbows for just that extra line of defense. Because Dewey's going to be trying to put his feet on your hips and trying to do stuff. That just gives you that extra little bit to be able to pass here. Now, once we get here, we have another option as well. One is going to be when I'm here, as I go to push past, instead of trying to step, go knee on belly and all that, all we're going to look to do is turn away. Because Dewey's ugly, he's got a big black eye because he can't block overhand rights for some reason. So all we're going to do is I'm going to look to still pass his knees over here and turn in. What that's going to allow me to do is push his knee past, drive my knee into the butt, and sit into that reverse side. Once you get in here, your hand that is closest to the head is going to dig your elbow into his armpit. You're going to dig under this elbow here. Face away from Dewey, because he's ugly. Like happens, right? Once you get here, obviously a variety of options open up to you. You can always high step into mount or transition into traditional side. But everything is basically the same up until the point of I'm going past in. Let's just assume, hey, Dewey doesn't suck. He's going to be blocking that knee on belly, and so I'm here. Trying to pass those legs through, here, and here. The biggest thing is getting control of underneath his elbows. It's going to be vitally important. If he has this underhook, you're in trouble. So you have to be fighting this hand in and working it up. With this hip, all you're looking to do is get underneath his elbow. Because once you get here, a variety of good options, like I said, but you have to get under both of these elbows, especially this one. If you miss this elbow, it becomes inconvenient. Certain things become harder. But in general, he's not going to have a lot of great options with that underhook. You have to win this top side one. Does that make sense? That top side elbow is going to be the game you have to win. Questions on this?
When you go for that reverse side, if there's either your gi grip broke or you're in no gi, do you, I guess, do you ever come around to kind of like hug his far side leg, or are you too low at that point?
So, make sure I'm hearing you right. Yeah. Pants are coming off. But I'm here. Boom, I'm here. I go here. Are you asking if I hug this leg?
Like the far leg, yeah.
Yes. Not really looking for that, because at this point I've passed his legs.
Yeah.
They're less of an issue at this point. So I'm not as concerned with controlling him, because he can start bunking and shrimping and doing all sorts of stuff here. But I'm past his legs.
You're
legs
more keeping his control.
Yeah, I'm more concerned with this hip control in fighting for this underhook than I am control. The legs aren't going to do much. At best, what he's going to try to do is like trap my wrist or something, and that's going to be easy to defeat and get through. Other questions? All right, drill her out.
Guys, say this nobody one more time.
Yep, so we're here. Boom, I'm working past here. All we're looking to do as we step around, I'm just forcing the knees forward into that side. Once you're here, like I said, you're looking for that elbow into his armpit. Because once you get this control, like I said, mount, turning back to side, or my personal favorite, you can walk back into north-south, set up some chokes from there.
The last thing is the thing stopping them from kind of, not necessarily getting your back, because obviously it's hard to transition your back there, but is that near side elbow you're kind of putting your body into, stopping him from grabbing your back? Like
So
that?
as far as him trying to scoot out this way to try to take my back,
Yeah.
the reason he's not able to take my back at this point, one, I have his legs in front of me, that's helping me a ton, but this underhook. If he takes this here,
Yeah.
that's going to be what causes you the most issues in transition, as opposed to if I'm here.
Focus on that.
That's why this elbow, like I said, 90% of fucking this up will be losing this elbow. Most of you can drive your shoulder into your partner's chest and face away. That part you'll all figure out pretty quick. Takes about 3 tries. The making sure you have that elbow detail, that is going to be the detail. Other questions? Drill her out. Oh. Speak up. God damn
I
it.
was just thinking about it. As he's shrimping and keeping those elbows tight, is there a point where, I mean, you just move up, you move back, you just move up. Is there a way to stop that?
As far as, so I sit over and he's trying to go there.
Yeah, you're trying to isolate his arm with like your back as you move back, but he just keeps on stripping it.
Yeah, we're either going to run out of mat or one of us is going to win that arm.
You just don't.
Yeah, it's not one like, boom, I pass, I come here. He starts shrimping, I start shrimping there. One of us has to win. Worst case scenario, walk north south. You just take that. But yeah, you either keep moving or done. Like somebody's got to win that shrimp off. Other questions? Drill her out. 1, 2, 3. All right, so I'm here with Dewey. Good things are happening. I get the guard broke. Boom, I get my knee up, right? But let's assume for whatever reason, I don't want to pass standing. Maybe I'm not athletic. Maybe there's other problems. I don't like passing standing versus gaggly people. Like you'd be a pain in the ass to pass standing. So I'm not going to look to pass standing, right? So what we're going to do instead is called a stack pass. This is a it sucks extra bad pass. So we're here. Boom. I get my hands up. Boom. I get to the knees here. Once we get here, both of our hands, and that is going to be the most important detail of this, both of our hands are going to dive underneath and come to the front of his thighs. Once we're here, I'm going to use my back leg to drive him forward and scoop his hips into me here, to where we're in this really nice position here. Once we're here, our goal is to stack every bit of our weight into the back of Dewey's neck. All 2.5 pounds of me right now is right in the back of Dewey's neck. Now, I'm going to relieve a little bit of pressure because I do like Dewey most days. And he did get hit in the face a bunch. I'm going to pick a side. That hand is going to reach across. If you have the collar, you can grab it. If not, you're just cupping that shoulder here. I'm going to stack that pressure down. And I'm going to slowly work my legs around the side here. Till at some point, eventually the pressure and the being lightly choked will just entice Dewey to let those legs pass. We're going to sit into side control. The nice part with this is you already have a very nice and tight paper cutter choke as well as an underhook by the time his legs pass. The goal of this pass is not to be quick. This shouldn't be one of those passes where you're like, ah, ah, and you pass. This should be a nice, slow, steady, painful pass. We smeesh with this one. So we're here. I'm working. Both my hands dive. I scoop his hips up, walk my legs back here. I pick a side, either in the collar or on the shoulder here, and I walk my legs around. The nice part is eventually he just wants you to be passed because this sucks. I control, come into that side, dig in. It's not simple, or it's not hard. It's simple but not easy. You have to dive both hands. Because realize, one of you is going to do this and I'm going to get to laugh at you. One of you is going to dive one hand and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm in a triangle. Both. White belt jiu-jitsu, rule number 1. When you're in the full guard, both hands are in, Both hands are out. One hand in means you suck. And you're stuck here. Alright? Both hands in, both hands out. Once the both hands come out, boom, I stack him up. And I'm using all my weight on him. I don't care how little you weigh. Clay did this pass right, and it sucked with him, all 112 pounds of him. If you do this pass right, it's not about size, it's about how you have them just compressed into a nice little disc for yourself. Once you're there, it's all about slow and steady. Here, just walking our feet across. Once that, his legs go in front, both knees in. If you want, you can pressure in on that choke, look to finish. One of those, it may work, it probably won't. Choke. But it's a nice little bit of extra oomph to your pass. Other questions on this one, guys? Nothing?
Sure,
Jordan?
I could say something.
I'm ready for a question, Jordan.
I'll say something.
Okay, Jordan, there we go.
When you're stacking, when you're already both hands under, how kind of, are you almost rolling back completely? Are you on your knees? Or like, what does that look like?
So what I'm looking for when I go from both hands here, I'm trying to drive my weight forward here. So it's not so much I'm taking my weight back, it's I'm trying to pull his legs up and over his head. So when I'm here, my hands are coming up and my weight is driving into him. So I'm not kicking my feet back, I'm moving him forward, if that makes sense. Now you may have to kick your feet back a little bit, but most of the effort should be driving him forward, not you back. Does that make sense? Because that's where the pressure comes from. Because if I'm here and I kick my legs back, Dewey's generally comfortable here. But when I'm here and I drive forward and then post my feet out, it's a much different pressure profile for Mr. White. And that's what I'm looking for. Other questions on this? I saw it, but look, what's the question?
It's not for the passer, but for if you're getting passed like that, is there a way you can let them go, but you can't put yourself on attachment?
So yes, not a lot of great options there. So like if Dewey's trying to stack past me here, a couple of your best options. So Dewey goes here. One is just to try to choke him. It's like a, hey, stop trying to pass me. I'll go here, pinch and choke, right? That's a very easy like, hey, you should knock that out because it'll make them stop doing what they're doing, right? But if he's actually got me stacked up and doesn't suck, like this is really hard to hit. So when I'm stuck here, he's gonna start working to pass. This hand's gotta go to the hip and you're trying to frame as much as you can. But realize someone who's good at stack passing is gonna beat that hand pretty quickly. And so, yes, you're looking to frame and turn into him as much as possible, but it's gonna be hard if they have it set up well. Other questions? 1, 2, 3.